People seem to love improv, and when I ask them what it is that they like about it, the answers that come back are it's fast, it's funny, it's spontaneous, they do things that I just can't imagine how they do it, it seems magical. And then when I ask, do you see yourself up there doing that? Very many, not all, but very many say, oh no, I couldn't do that. And I tell them my belief is that they do that. In fact, each of us improvises a good part of each day. I mean, unless someone writes a script for us and leaves it on our nightstand, we improvise a lot, just about every day. So at home, if friends drop in unexpectedly for dinner, you improvise ways to feed them. At the supermarket, if you're pushing your basket towards that really short checkout line and you get cut off by the person with the overflowing basket, you improvise a new exit strategy. You see, people think that improv is about thinking fast and being funny, and it's really not. It's about acting fast and being real. I'm going to teach you a game. I'm going to ask for a volunteer, but as I said, you don't have to volunteer. The key to agile leadership is self-talk. How many of you talk to yourselves? Some people raise their hand, other people go, do I or don't I? Self-talk is defined as that ongoing dialogue we have with ourselves that determines our belief about the world. Leadership is very much about getting people to believe in you. Not only in you, but in the fact that you can make them feel better. So I'm going to have a volunteer come up for a very simple game. All you need to know are the letters of the English alphabet. You don't even have to know those so well. You can't fail. There's no time limit. You and I are going to work together on this thing. So who's going to volunteer? I got one over there. Come on up. Give her a round of applause, please. Thank you. As she comes up, let me give you the mic, please. And you are?
Josie.
Josie. Okay, Josie, hang on for 1 second. Let me ask your friends out here. Without right or wrong, this is just for investigation. When I asked for a volunteer, what was your self-talk? What kept your hand from going up? What did you say to yourself? Exact words. I don't want to do it. What else? Let's see who goes first. What else? One more. I don't want to look foolish. I don't trust this guy. Let somebody else do it. Makes perfect sense. When you saw that Josie had volunteered, how did you feel? Relief. Okay. Leadership lesson number 1. People are always watching you, and people judge you as a leader based not so much on what you do, i.e. step up, as how what you do makes them feel. Her action, by the way, why did you volunteer? What went through your head?
Well, first I waited to see if anybody else was going to volunteer because I usually volunteer first for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to just do it this time.
Okay.
Since I'm a guest, I thought I would be polite.
Okay. And then eventually?
Nobody volunteered, so I volunteered.
Okay. So she volunteered. But notice that her action had the power to change the emotional climate for the entire room. Leadership is not so much about what you do as how what you do makes them feel. So she walked up, you felt better. So unconsciously, the leadership action is stepping up into the unknown. We're going to play a game called the alphabet game. Okay. You and I are going to talk to each other as two friends do about a topic which we'll get to in a moment. The structure of the game is whoever starts the game starts with a word that begins with the letter A. Says their piece in their conversation. When the other person comes in, they start with a word beginning with the letter B. And it's not a word association game. So if we're talking about exit signs, I might say, anytime I'm in a hotel, I always look where the exit sign is so I know where to go in case of emergency. And
I would say, well, because that's the best way to get out.
Exactly. And I would go, can you tell me if this ever happened to you? So you get the idea. Give us a topic of a subject that two friends talk about. It doesn't matter what it is. We'll talk about anything. Shopping. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first? Okay. Anytime I need something clothes-wise, I can go shopping in 15 minutes and go into the store and come out. It doesn't take me very long.
Buying clothes is a pain in the neck for me. I hate it.
Clothes are something that I would rather buy online.
Don't get me started on buying things online, because I've done a lot of that stuff, and sometimes I get good stuff and sometimes I get bad stuff, and I have to return it and I have to pay for the postage. It's just not worth it.
Even just talking to you, I can see that you have a lot of emotion about this stuff.
Finally, somebody gets it about me.
Gee, you and I are connected, right? Give her a round of applause. Listen, thank you. What was that like? Was it interesting? What was interesting about it? The natural flow. How do you think we got into the natural flow? Process. Okay. Let me ask you, did you think we were competitive or cooperative? Cooperative. How do you know? Feed each other words. Were you rooting for her or for me? Her. Why? She's funniest. The ability of focus to keep us on track, I think, is very important in this world where we're off track a lot, primarily due to what we've touched on in some other programs here, the illusion that multitasking is a benefit. Multitasking, to me, means you're not focused on many things at any one time. What multitasking seems to do is to distract us into segments. And the consequence is that if you're not present, you're not with the person. And the quality of presence is so powerful for us. When people talk about a speaker's presence, it's that intangible that is an attraction. So this multitasking thing, one of the consequences I've found is that we tend to lose contact with people because people take up too much time. Have you noticed that? So I'm sure I'm not the only person here who emails people at 3 o'clock in the morning because I know they're not going to respond. And then you get back that little message, oh, you're up late too? Or you call when people are not home, just so you can get that thing off the list. I'm coming home one evening, the phone's ringing, I rush in, I pick up the phone, I hear an indignant voice. She goes, what are you doing home? She says, I was going to call, I was going to leave a message on your machine. I didn't expect you to be home. So I said, Barbara, I'm here now. She said, I'm not prepared to talk to you. So Terry talked about 20th century. I'll talk about 21st century. I had to hang up the phone while this woman gathered her thoughts so she could talk to me. So I think this multitasking thing just takes away from focus. It's focus that brings us to presence. And people say, well, how do improv people focus when there's so much going on? They're so quick and all this stuff is happening. Improv players understand a technique. They're taught something called the point of concentration. The point of concentration is the smallest bit of information you need to have in order to keep on task. So in volleyball, what's the point of concentration? The ball. You stick to the ball, you pretty much will be okay. When you're speaking, what's the point of concentration? The audience. There's an intersection. When I think about what is the point of concentration for us, the point of concentration for us is that intersection between us and the audience. So you may have noticed or may not have noticed, after Karen left, I took a step, and I took about 3 seconds. My point of concentration was the transition into the beginning of my program. What happens for you as speakers in that 3-second pause is that audiences begin to lean forward. That builds presence. So improv people know that as long as they stick to the simple rule, the one word at a time, that's all you need to know in that game, you're pretty well set to moving forward.